Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about the grand life scenario, and I'm also going to be talking about how the scenario works, how the mechanics works. This scenario is actually one of the simplest scenarios that we have. But before we get into the video, no, I'm not gonna call this our grand concert. This sounds so stupid. So I'm just going to refer it as grand life moving onwards. And of course I'm also going to be talking about it always because our grand concert just sounds so stupid. At least Trackblazer made sense, Unity Cup made sense, but our grand concert, I don't know if that I will let that slide. Anyways, this scenario just revolves about you training with your Umamusume. You unlock songs, and those songs give you permanent stat buffs. So it is a very simple scenario. It is not really that difficult to understand. But the problem is that this scenario is very RNG heavy, especially when it comes to the songs. But when it comes out to global, I will probably think that most people will think that this scenario is much better compared to most other scenarios, especially Trackblazer, because holy, Trackblazer was not a fun scenario to play with. Anyways, let's start with the video. First things off, we have the stat caps being 400 extra, 100 to your stamina, power and wit, and 300 to your guts. 1600 speed essentially means that the total speed that you can get is 2000. That is a lot of speed, and you will most likely not cap this. It will take like very high amount of luck for you to cap your speed, and then like you have to have a very good deck too, so you probably will not cap your speed. However, for the other sets, your stamina, power, wit, also they're not going to be capped, but they will at least be very close to hitting at least 1200. That is what I see when it comes to most of the aces, at least to the ones with good decks. So that is the stat caps. Next up, it's very simple. That is going to be the Grand Life's training. There's going to be 5 tokens, each representing one of each stat: speed, power, stamina, guts, and wit. Each one of them pretty much have a token. You ideally want to train, you get tokens, you spend these tokens on lessons, and also you're spending them on songs. So the default value is going to be about 10 when it comes to training. However, if you are training on a wit training, the amount that you get is actually lower. If the character has a calculacy, this is going to be increased by a lot with the other cards. And if you are rainbow training, you actually get the 2 tokens instead of 1 token, and you get a lot extra tokens compared to usual. So you should try to aim to the trainings that have friendship trainings, because you get double the tokens. But most of the time, or like maybe a little bit of times, you don't actually want to click on a friendship training, and you'd still want to click something else if your tokens are not in a good line. So the tokens are not like 100% chance to show up giving you, oh, I'm going to be getting a speed token every single time I click on speed. No, each training has 2 separate tokens, being the primary token and the secondary token. As you can clearly see for this example, we did not get the speed token over here, that being the first one, which is dance, passion, and I forgot the other 3, but it's gonna take some time for me to know all 3 or like all 5 in terms of names. Anyways, when it comes to the training, as you can clearly see, we have about a 60% chance to get the primary token, which is going to be speed. 30% chance that we will get vitality, I believe, which will be the guts one. This is actually also a very good token. Both of these 2 tokens are like pretty much used in most of the songs, so speed training is going to be very nice, which is probably something that you will click on anyways. And then a 10% chance that it will be the other 3 tokens. For this example, we did not get the 60% chance of it being on the speed token, which makes it going to be having a 40% chance. That 30% chance being either the guts token or just a random token being the power, stamina, or wit. So we did hit the 30% for the guts token, which will mean that we will get 24 for our guts in terms of tokens, and we will get 24 for a random token. So that one landed on wit, so that means that we are also going to be taking 24 wit alongside 24 guts in terms of tokens. Scenario link cards give you more tokens compared to usual. As you can clearly see, this is not even rainbow training, and you can clearly see that training with I guess takedown speed and light hello, you get a lot of extra tokens. This time we did hit the 60% chance of it being the primary token, so we will get 21 tokens for the speed, which of course is going to be nice. So the relevant cards that you will probably have for the most part is going to be Mihono Wit, I guess Takeon speed, Silence Suzuka speed. This card is going to be decent actually in this scenario. For characters like Valentine Mihono Bourbon, if you are just looking for a recovery skill for the next Champions meeting, being Champions meeting 17. And of course Light Hello is a mandatory card, and training with Light Hello has a 20% chance of it giving you 20 tokens of the amount that you have the least of. So in this example, if I clicked, we have a chance that we will get a repeated event after training for Light Hello, and she will give us 20 tokens for mental, I believe, which is the wit token. So of course that is going to be something good to know, and of course that is a nice buff for Agia's Tekya. For the songs and lessons, this is going to be very simple. Pretty much that you can buy lessons that will instantly give you the stats or recover your energy, or you buy a skill. We will go through each of these ones, starting with the lessons. For the lessons, it's very simple. You pretty much buy a lesson, and after amount of lessons that you buy, you will be able to buy a song. But, it has a pattern. Before the first promotion, which is basically in the junior year, if you buy one lesson, then a song will show up. If you buy a second, like 2 lessons, you will get then a second song. If you buy 3 lessons, then you will get an extra song. So pretty much it's increasing by 1 every single time, and it caps at 4. So if you somehow buy basically 3 songs, 4th song onwards, or like 4th song and the 5th song will cost you 4 total lessons, which means is that after the 3rd, it's becoming like very difficult for you to get a 4th or a 5th song in between. But generally speaking, you should like for the first couple of deaths, when it comes to pretty much understanding the scenario, I would just recommend people to go with like 3 songs, and you stop at there. You don't need to buy more than that, and that is pretty much it when it comes to pretty much lessons. You basically spend tokens to buy stats, or you buy skill points, or you buy a skill that has an A attribute. For example, I believe this is going to be a medium distance track random skill, and of course you can buy some energy. So it just depends on what you need, but keep in mind that you should try to balance it when it comes to overall spending, because you don't really want to spend very much on one token and then like have your other tokens have so much and that token being very scarce. As for the songs, those provide you permanent buffs for the duration after a concert, which of course is going to be very strong. This gives you like permanent wit bonus, a skill point bonus, it gives you specialty priority, it gives you also friendship bonus. It is a lot, and of course I will have to go in depth on these songs because some of them are better than other songs. So here's the list. I know this is going to be a big list because of course we had to remove the slider because, or like the border that I put on most of my slides, because this is a big list. Pretty much what you are looking out for the most part, is that you're looking for songs that give you specialty priority or friendship bonus, or a song that gives you a skill point bonus. Those songs are very valuable, and pretty much you should try to go for them most of the time because they are very effective. especially the skill point bonus ones. Those give you a lot of skill points, and it could equate to hundreds of skill points if you get them very early and you get very good trainings. So overall, unfortunately, those are like completely randomly generated, so if you get unlucky, it is what it is. Grand Life has an RNG when it comes to pretty much the training aspect and also the song aspect. But it's not as bad as like the Trailblazer, where if you didn't hit the inspiration, you just glue, and then like you spend 40 minutes just to go back and then you glue again. So it's not going to be as bad as Trailblazer, at least from what I'm seeing. But to make very strong aces, it's probably going to be more on the annoying part. So pretty much you're looking for it as for the friendship bonus, the specialty priority, the skill point bonus songs, which are going to be Run for Our Dream and Grow Up to Shine. Those two are the two most important songs. And of course, if you have extras, then you go for the friendship bonus songs. So pretty much there are going to be 5 total concerts, in which are going to be in the late December for all 3 years, and for late June for the second and third year only. You don't need to buy songs immediately. You will be put on this menu when it is about that you go for a concert, and of course you can buy the songs and lessons, which of course are going to be very valuable. So what I would recommend is that you don't instantly buy the songs or the lessons immediately. You can save until the before of the concert, and then you start spending those on lessons and songs, and it will be just fine. After the concert, any song that you have bought will have their passive up immediately. So let's say over here I have bought a couple of songs. The total is that I will get plus 15% to my friendship bonus, plus 5 to my specialty priority to all of my cards, and plus 1 support card chain event rate, which doesn't really do that much, unfortunately, like the last part. But it is going to be helpful that you know that after a concert, the songs that you buy, their live effect is now active. However, if we go back over here, the ones that says web bonus or like the speed bonus, those actually immediately trigger. So maybe you could buy a couple of songs in between, but I will not recommend it most of the time, unless you are going into the second year where you want that speed bonus as soon as possible. So yeah, it is going to be very interesting. As for the exclusive skill for this scenario, it is going to be very similar to the Trailblazer one, where it was a random point in the second half of the race, provided that you are 5th or above. If you have the gold version, it is a 0.35 target speed increase with a 0.2 acceleration. If you bought the common version, it is going to be 0.15 target speed increase with a 0.07 acceleration. This skill is not going to be good most of the time. You just buy it if you have the spare SP, because the cost is 200, which is a lot, and the scaling is based on how much fans that you have. I believe it becomes 1.2 times like multiplier at 1600 fans, which is very easy. But again, I would not recommend that you buy for, like, you don't go for this skill, because it is one at a random point. The duration is so small and the SP cost is relatively high. As for the scenario linked characters and bonuses, if you have bought either Takeon, Silence Suzuka, Mihono Bourbon or Smart Falcon, you get the gold version of these specific skills, and of course some of them are incredibly good. For Smart Falcon, she gets full speed, which is going to be a dirt exclusive skill that I believe triggers at the last sport, which of course is going to be good. Then we have Mihono Bourbon. I don't think I need to explain much. Concentration plus the fact that you get taking the lead from Mihono Bourbon with, holy, it's very strong. What a crazy scenario link to have. And of course, for Silence Suzuka, she gets Trailblazer, which is a gold recovery skill that triggers if you are third or above at a random point in the mid game, provided that it's a medium distance track, which of course is very good too. And then we have Agiastikion. Agiastikion, if you are a pace chaser player, is very crazy because you get unstoppable, which is a mid game skill that triggers at a random point if you are a pace chaser, and you get the gold version of All I Have Got, which is Come What May. At the last spurt in the medium, if you are on the final straight, you get 0.45 target speed increase. It's very strong, very powerful, and I guess Takeon for pace is also very good. The general playstyle is very simple. You just try to buy 3 or 4 songs in between each concert. For the beginning, I highly recommend that you at least try to buy 3 songs and pause from there. Once you get more accustomed with the scenario itself, you could go with 1 or more songs in between, but remember, when it comes to the first week of the Grand Life scenario, I just highly recommend that you just relax a bit. You don't need to go all out when it comes to pretty much understanding the scenario. Understanding the basics is better than forcing yourself to go on a high roll, which of course makes the learning experience much better, and of course it makes overall enjoyment much higher. This is pretty much my first couple of runs. The picture on the right is my first ever run on the Grand Life scenario, and I think I did decently well on a 0% speed Uma. I did not use Agiastikion because I do not have that on the account that I borrowed, and this is a second run where I just decided to use 0LB Let Hello and see how it feels, and I borrowed Max Limit Break Agiastikion. I will just say this, the Light Hello 0LP, it really feels bad, but it is what it is. If you have her at 0LP after the pulls, you can cope with this, I guess, but 1LB, 2LB, it makes the training aspect much better overall. And that is pretty much it. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing and consider joining the community server linked in the comment section, and I hope to see you in the next one.